Okay, we're here with the brother. We're finally here with the brother, Jelani Bauman. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
I'm Wayne Ali Nuruddin, and I have the pleasure to interview my good brother, great friend, Jelani Bauman. Today is February 17, 2015, and I've had the unique pleasure of being in Jelani's presence for the last 3 or 4 days. We hooked up in North Carolina after your performance there, which I thought was really outstanding, man. That was a great opportunity for me to really celebrate your accomplishments as a trumpet player, great musician, as a man. I'm curious, exactly how long have you been playing the trumpet, man?
Going on 12 years.
Wow. So
12 years.
So the trumpet is it's sort of been like a lifelong friend of yours, right?
Yes, yes.
Is it fair to say that you all have established a pretty good relationship at this point?
Yeah, it's funny. Just let me see. Last week I had my trumpet in the shop, getting some work done on it, make sure it's in good shape. And I was without it for a day and a half, and I really had like this void I felt inside of me. I was like, man, I want my trumpet. So I didn't realize how much I have grown attached to it over the years. And yeah, it's definitely, and it's not the only, it doesn't encompass my whole being, but it's definitely an extension of who I am.
That's very interesting. So this is not just an inanimate object that you deal with from time to time. This is an extension of yourself.
Yes.
And so we're talking about a relationship that's ongoing.
Yes.
And to the point to where when it's not with you, there's somewhat of a void.
Right.
That you acknowledge. Now, you're still an artist without it.
Yes.
And you're still a very brilliant intellectual contributor to your art form, whether you're holding that inanimate object or not. And that's something that I think is very admirable. It's something that causes me to have great respect for you. Do you remember exactly what started this relationship between you and the horn? What was that like? How did you become a trumpet player?
The initial, to start off, I come from 5 generations of musicians, and my uncle was a trumpeter, and my grandfather is a trumpet player. Goes back to my great-great-grandfather. But when it deals with my inception with the trumpet, it goes back actually to when I was 5 years old, and my grandfather, Henry Thompson Umar Sharif, who was a great trumpet player from New Orleans, one of the greats of that trumpet legacy. He gave me one of his trumpets when I was 5, and I still remember that day because he gave it to me, and he was like, "Don't take this and don't put anything in the bell." And the first thing I did was put a penny in the bell and got stuck. But I took it up, but my initial interest in it wasn't strong enough for me to really continue. So it kind of faded away for a second. But there was always something in my head that I need to get to the trumpet. I know my mother and I moved to New York in 1999, the first time when I was around 9 or 10 years old, and I went to the school there, and I wanted to play the trumpet. I remember going to the music teacher and be like, I want to play trumpet, but they weren't even trying to let me in the band because they had this thing about you don't read music, which I thought was weird because I was still a very young child. And then we moved to Atlanta for a short time, and I still had an interest in trumpet, and I was thinking about it there. And then finally, when I was 13, my father took the initiative and bought me a trumpet, and that's all she wrote, and I've been playing ever since. So it was a reoccurring theme, and it finally caught up, and once I started playing, I just knew it was going to take me places, and I knew that was one of the main paths I was going to take.
That's interesting that you mentioned that the first thing you did was to place some money inside of the bell.
Yeah. Because
that tells me that on some level or another, you knew that you were going to need to deposit a certain type of energy or a currency inside of this horn in order for you to be able to gain something from the experience and from the relationship that has proven to be very rewarding at this point, right?
Right.
In many ways.
Right.
You know, what are some ways you consider to be most rewarding as it relates to your relationship with your music?
One of the most rewarding ways is just has made me an everlasting seeker for information and understanding and perspective, and I'm always searching for more and just always driving to expand my understanding and just be open and break down barriers of past beliefs and just has gotten me to challenge things and build my spirituality. You know, I think a lot of people might say it brings me to like go to different places, which I'm blessed I have been able to go to some various places around the world, but mainly it just has helped me always remain open and always searching and trying to expand myself and improve myself. And just playing the trumpet is totally put me on this different trajectory. Before then, I wanted to be a doctor or like a sports journalist and like going on this journey of being a musician, trumpet player, artist. It's totally just put me on this everlasting journey for understanding and just has definitely expanded my perception of what life is and all of that goes along with it.
I happen to have seen the poster that was used to promote your performance in North Carolina, and just for the record, that was Sanford, North Carolina. What was the name of the theater?
It was called the Lee County Arts Center.
Well, when I saw the poster, the first word rather that jumped off the paper was legacy. Legacy, and that's something that really is important to me when it comes to preserving our art forms, whatever it is that's important to us. I think that it's imperative that we realize the value of preserving it from a historical perspective, not just because of what it means to us, but because of what it means to people, period. Even those people who have yet to be born, people who are going to come on the scene, having to inherit what you've actually deposited into the social environment, the artistic environment. My question to you is, how long have you, Jelani Bauman, the trumpet player, how long have you been aware of the historical perspective in which your life as an artist has been framed?
Man, that goes back before I even started playing music. I feel like I always, by coming from this musical family of 5 generations, I always knew that knew legacy was an important thing. I mean, this might go back between the ages of between 5 and 8 years old. I knew this, especially when my grandmother died in 1995, and also my grandfather's one of his first cousins, Percy Humphrey, died in 1995. And we have a family plot in New Orleans, and in this family plot lie my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, and in 95 my grandmother was buried in this. And I remember seeing all these names, and I asking my mother and relatives about these people, and I knew from that moment I knew it was something serious. And I also remember I had this calendar. It was like a jazz calendar with all these birth dates of various New Orleans musicians, and like important. I mean, they had like the Marsalis names in there, people like Jelly Roll Morton, Sidney Bechet, and I remember seeing my relatives' names in this poster, and that really showed me that my family has some serious contributions to music history in New Orleans, and from those moments, I knew that it was like legacy was an important thing. And then in 1998, we had the Humphrey family reunion, and I went there with my uncle, my oldest uncle Kareem, and my grandfather, and I learned a lot about the history. I learned a lot about my great great grandfather, and just seeing my grandfather there. And that was like the last time I saw him play trumpet. It may have been the last time he played trumpet. So all these, all these ideas and all this energy is kind of stuck with me. Even though I wasn't even playing music, I knew it was important. And not just with my family, like like this calendar was really important. It was really important in regards to understanding this, because I would see names like Sidney Bechet and Jelly Roll Morton and people like that, and all. I didn't totally understand what these people's contributions, but I knew it was something that was really, it was all correlated. So, and from there, I knew it was serious. So by the time I picked up the trumpet, I know even before I started playing trumpet, people would ask, is he playing trumpet yet? And people, it was just a thing. So by the time I picked up the trumpet, I was already knew what I was inheriting.
Well, I know of quite a few cases to where someone is actually surrounded by greatness, surrounded by great people, great ideas, and very often they don't have a clue as to how valuable it is. Very often they do not appreciate that which they're being exposed to at that time. Needless to say, that does not apply to you. You seem to be very, not only very knowledgeable about your history, about your lineage, even the role that you play. You seem to be very grateful in terms of what you bring to the table and what's been placed on the table before you. How would you describe that process to someone else who needed to help someone facilitate a greater appreciation for what they have? What would be a key ingredient to bringing that person online and showing them the value of appreciating their history and what they came from?
I don't know. There's no absolute answer, but some things that I would suggest, as some advice I would suggest, is knowing that it's not about you.
Okay.
When you're into the, and you have to remove. I mean, of course, you always have an ego, but at the same time, you have to